In the news this week, the Ashers Baking Company case is likely to be taken to the Supreme Court. The Scottish Government has been ordered to pay legal costs for its failed named person court battle, and the BBC could broadcast Muslim prayers as part of new multi-faith plans. Hello. The Ashers case is expected to be referred to the UK Supreme Court after a formal request from Northern Ireland's Attorney General. John Larkin QC is questioning the validity of the laws used against the bakery. In October, judges ruled that Ashers had breached equality law when it declined to decorate a cake with the slogan "Support Gay Marriage." This week, in a debate on religious freedom, Simon Calvert, the Institute's Deputy Director for Public Affairs, called for equality law to change in order to reasonably accommodate people like the MacArthur family.
So equality law must be changed. It was not handed down from heaven on tablets of stone. It was written by civil servants and politicians and campaigners, and people make mistakes, and that's why the law can be amended. Parliament is constantly revising existing laws to correct mistakes and revisit policy goals. So if equality law, well, it's just another law. And if it's causing injustice and misery, if it's taking away freedom of speech and freedom of religion and freedom of conscience, then it should be changed.
And Simon Calvert joins me now. Simon, hello.
Hello.
The Ashers case is very complex, Simon. Can you explain what this latest intervention by the Attorney General means?
Yeah, well, the Attorney General has unique statutory power to refer aspects of the case to the Supreme Court. So he's asking the Supreme Court to rule on his arguments that the laws used against the MacArthur family may be constitutionally invalid. Now, that's separate from the family's own legal action. So it's not a full appeal on the arguments in favour of the Ashers family. It's a limited appeal to the Supreme Court just on the question of whether those laws used against them are actually valid.
Simon, you've said that the law should reasonably accommodate people like the MacArthur family. Why do you think this is necessary?
Well, because the current equality law is leading to injustices like this, and cases like Peter and Hazel Mary Ball, the B&B owners, and cases like Lillian Liddell, another Christian Institute case. She was the marriage registrar. A lot of people think that what's going on is wrong and that these people are being treated unfairly by the law. So all we are calling for is a tweak to equality law to write in this concept of reasonable accommodation, so that the courts have to be more deliberate about trying to balance competing rights. And that's all we're calling for. And you know, equality law is just another law. We're changing and amending laws all the time, and we think it's way past time that Parliament revisited equality law.
Simon, thank you. The UK Supreme Court has ordered the Scottish Government to pay the Christian Institute's legal costs after it was part of a successful court action against the named persons scheme. The government could eventually face a bill of up to £500,000, including its own costs, after several high-profile court appearances. The award does not cover the almost £150,000 spent on non-legal costs for the No to Name Persons campaign. Head of Communications at the Institute, Kieran Kelly, said the complacency of ministers has led to an extraordinary waste of taxpayers' money.
Before the named person legislation ever made its way through the Scottish Parliament, the Christian Institute told the Scottish Government that central provisions were likely to be unlawful, that the law was likely to be in breach of Article 8 of the European Convention on Human Rights. Instead of paying attention to those concerns, the Scottish Government chose to wage a PR campaign against them. It swept those concerns aside, and the result has been a protracted and costly legal battle, which has left a bill for the Scottish taxpayer in the region of £500,000. It need never have come to court, but the UK Supreme Court has now upheld our concerns and shown the Scottish Government to have been complacent and wrong in their approach.
The Scottish Government says it wants to press on with its named person plans. To find out more, visit christian.org.uk/namedperson. And finally, the BBC could start broadcasting Muslim prayers as part of a plan to increase multi-faith coverage. The Times reported that Director General of the BBC, Lord Hall of Birkenhead, will invite a number of religious leaders to participate in discussions on more coverage of other religions. This follows a BBC report released earlier this year which claimed that the publicly funded broadcaster's output is too Christian. Spokesman for the Institute, Simon Calvert, said the idea that there is too much Christianity on the BBC is an absolute joke. Some people within the BBC are honest enough to admit they have a problem, Andrew Marr and others have spoken honestly about the bias against Christianity and the bias in favour of a secularising worldview. He added that the religious traditions of the UK are in the main Christian, and 60% of licence fee payers self-identify as Christian, saying this should be represented. Well, that's all for this week. For regular updates and information on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.